Hey everybody, my name's Terrence. I'm with Titus Adventure Company. I'm gonna be showing you one of our Glamper vans. This one's named June, seats 4, sleeps 4. And this video is not meant to take place of an in-person orientation that we'll give you when you start your trip with us. What I'm primarily trying to do here is show you everything about this Glamper van, show you how it works, tell you why it might be good for your trip, and then if you're considering which van is ideal for your trip, this should help. If you're on the trip and you want to familiarize yourself with some of the things we've gone over in person, you can quickly reference this video. So when you come to pick up your van, we'll hand you one of these keys here. This van here is named June, and on this key we've got a couple of buttons. So just like normal, you've got a button that locks the whole van right here. You've got a button that unlocks just the driver and passenger seats. And then this button down here unlocks what we call the house side of the van. So anything that's not in the driver or passenger seat. I'm gonna point out a couple things on the back real quick. We'll send you out with a full-size spare tire, hidden in plain sight. Got a license plate. Up here, we've got a rear view camera, which goes to both the mirror and the backup screen. So you don't have to look through the reflective mirror all the way through the van while you're driving. You just have a camera that shows you just in the back. Very helpful when you're parking as well. And then just on top of the rear view camera compartment, we've got a housing for the vent, the fan inside. So that can keep you cool or keep some air moving in hot seasons. Cool, so I'm gonna pop open the back here. This is where we start most of our orientations. So one handle on the back. You can open this to about 90 degrees or a little more open to 180 over here. And then your handle to open the other side's just right here. So on our windows back here, we do have these zip up curtains. So the curtains are Velcroed to the door, and then all of our windows have little zip up covers here, which help for privacy and help a little bit on temperature regulation as well. So going from simple to complicated here, I'm just gonna point out a couple things that are in plain sight. So we've got a full-size mattress right here, and this is all packed for what a standard departure looks like. So everything you see in here comes with every rental, summer or winter. Like I mentioned, this seats 4 and sleeps 4, so we do have this full-size mattress down below, and we've got a similar full-size mattress up top in the pop top, which we'll show you in a couple minutes. On each of the beds, they come fully made. We've got a fitted sheet, a flat sheet, and 2 blankets. So we've got a fleece blanket, a waffle blanket, and then we typically send 1 to 2 pillows per person when you go out on your trip. Sweet, so above the bed, there's a couple things I'll point out. We've got 2 storage compartments, one over the head of the bed and one over the foot of the bed. And to access those, you can either be on the bed or you can step up on this little bumper. These doors open, they have a little latch right here. I'm gonna open that, and then they actually magnet up to the ceiling, so you don't have to prop them open as you organize. So in this compartment above the head of the bed, we've got some outlets over here, a 12-volt cigarette outlet, and then 2 USB ports. And you'll be able to charge your phones overnight, even if the van's not running. Above the foot of the bed, we've got another one of these compartments, a little deeper, a little more storage space. Underneath both of these cabinets, we've got 2 push lights. A little button underneath. So underneath this bed, we've got a couple more compartments. One towards the head of the bed, 2 smaller open compartments underneath the foot of the bed. And then in this main storage area, we've got 2 of these doors which open up and hold right in place. So it's worth mentioning that later in the year, we winterize these vans, and that has a couple of implications, but the state of the van right now is that we have it de-winterized, so good for the summer, and all of the water systems are fully good to go. And everything we're showing you in the van is as if it is summer and good to go with the water. So towards the driver's side of the van, we've got a couple items that will always be in here. We've got a 2-burner stove which you can set up outside the van. We've got a green propane tank, which you can use for that stove. And then we've got a shore power hookup and wall outlet adapter. Before going any deeper into the van, there's 3 systems that I like to point out, and they're the main systems in the van and typically associated with the more complicated tasks that you have to perform if you're renting the van. So one of them is water, one of them is propane, and the other is electrical. The electrical system's pretty simple. So we've got car batteries and we've got house batteries. So the house batteries, we like to think, power everything behind the driver and passenger seats. So they run the click lights, they run the overhead lights, they run USB outlets, and they power the fridge. Propane system powers the built-in stove, and it powers our Truma combi unit. So Truma makes a combination water and air heater, and the propane is how the Truma combi heats up water and heats up the van when the van is not running. The water system, which has its control panel back here, or main control panel back here, is probably one of the more complicated systems on the van, but I'm gonna try and point everything out so that it's very simple for you. Grab a cup of coffee because this part's gonna take a minute. So if you are renting one of our Glamper vans out of Denver and in the winter, you will see the setup of this water control panel in the winterized setting. Each one of the settings on this control panel refers to the direction that these knobs will face. So if you're renting this in the winter and this van is winterized, you can pretty much ignore this whole control panel. So the 2 orientations you're gonna find this in the summer are going to be dry camping and power fill tank. So for dry camping, we're going to have the white knob facing down. We're gonna have the green knob facing up. We're gonna have the red knob facing up, and we're gonna have the blue knob facing left. Dry camping is how the van is going to live most of the time when you're not filling up water. So this is a self-sufficient setting where the sink, the showers, and all the faucets and the toilets work without you having to do much of anything. So this van has a 20-gallon freshwater holding tank and a 20-gallon gray water holding tank. It also has a smaller cassette, which is attached to the toilet, which just receives all of your toilet waste. So the cassette and the gray water holding tank are 2 totally separate holding reservoirs. If you're on a short trip, 2 or 3 days, you probably won't need to fill up the tank, depending on how conservative your use is of the water. But if you're on a more extended trip, you're gonna find yourself needing to fill up the water tank. So when you get to a water source, it could be a hose at a friend's house, an official RV water pumping station, or pretty much any established campground around the States. What you're gonna wanna do is orient these knobs in the positions that correspond to the power fill tank. So that's gonna be white down, green left, red up, blue down. And what that does is allows all of the piping to be able to receive fresh water from outside the van. So when you've oriented the knobs to the power fill tank orientation, what you're gonna do is you're gonna lift up this rear compartment. You're gonna get your freshwater refill hose, and we're gonna start making some connections. So over here we've got the male end, and over here we've got a female end. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hook up the male end to this city water hookup. And all I'm gonna do is gonna place that in and twist this until it's nice and snug. So what I'm gonna do at the other end is hook this up to the source. For example, a hose at your house, and just a normal garden hose or the hose bib, spigot, something like that. Hook this up, and then because we're in power fill orientation, I'm gonna turn on the water at the source, and I'm gonna wait until this 20 gallons is filled up. The people who made this van made it super easy for you, and when the 20 gallons have filled up inside the van, there's a little overflow hole, and what that looks like is a little water is gonna start spitting out from down below the van in this area, and you'll see the water overflow coming out. Once that water is overflowing, go over to the source, turn that off, and then come back over here and we'll disconnect this hose. So once you've filled up all the water and removed the hose and stored it away, I'm gonna switch these orientations back over to dry camping. So that is white facing down, green up, red up, blue left. So when you're in the dry camping orientation, water is filled up, completely self-sufficient. In order to get water pumping through all of the water fixtures to the sink, to the shower in the rear, to the shower on the inside, or to flush the toilet, you do need to turn the pump switch on. So we've got a pump switch here, and we've got a pump switch inside of the van that you can access without having to come outside. Just below the pump switch, we have labeled a driver's side porch light. So this will turn on a light just outside the driver's side door. One final thing on the water system back here, and we like to say this is a 2-bed, 2-bath Glamper van over here, and that's because we have actually 3 places where you can shower, one on the inside, one on the sliding side door, and one back here. So I'm gonna show you how to set up the rear shower. Sweet, so now I'm gonna go through the process of how I set up the outdoor shower. So one of the first things I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna take out this ground mat. Cool, with the ground mat out, gonna lift up this rear compartment, pull out the rear shower hose, and this hose connects, it has a quick connect and a quick disconnect, which just in between the hot water knob and the cold water knob, just push this right in. I'm gonna set up the hose nozzle right there, and now I'm gonna get my shower curtain set up. So I'm gonna get both of these doors in the 90-degree orientation. 2 poles come out from either door, and they're gonna go together right about at head height. We've got a little pin up here, which just pushes straight through to hold these 2 poles together. And then also in this compartment, we've got our rear shower curtain. 2 little cam straps, I'll get out of the way. And then on one side of this, we have some Velcro straps, which we'll use to strap up. One last thing in these compartments are some magnets. So we want to magnet the sides to the rear doors. We'll send a bunch of these, that way you can make this shower curtain as secure as possible. Sweet, so now to get the shower going, we've got the hose connected. I'm gonna turn the pump on, and then I'm just gonna adjust the hot water and the cold water to all the way up, and then you feel free to shower right back here. I'm gonna point out one thing with the electrical system back here, just above the water panel. We do have these wall outlets pretty much all over the place in the van. These are only functioning if you are plugged in to shore power. So with that shore power connection right there, and I'll show you where that goes into the van, these only turn on when you're connected to shore power. Otherwise, USB outlets, and we have an inverter up front, those can be used to power pretty much anything you need without needing to be hooked up to shore power. So in this compartment under the bed, 2 of these doors open, and things we'll include with every standard rental are 1 camp chair per person and a camp table per person. And those live right above the wheel wells. On the other side, in these open compartments, we'll leave this one on the bottom empty for you to put whatever you want in there. And then on the upper compartment, we'll include one of these bags with all the equipment you need for changing a tire. Most importantly, instructions. We do our best to kind of think of everything before your trip and set you up for success. So here are a couple other items that come with the van if you're renting with us in the winter. We'll send you with a set of tire chains. Say place on the front tires only, max speed 35 miles an hour. Gonna send you out with a snow shovel, a snow scraper, and a brush, which is extendable for a bigger van like this. And then we'll also send you out with a snow strip right here. That way, if you're taking one of our vans skiing and you have all your skis, you can set this up magnetically to any one of the body panels and lay your skis right up alongside. Cool. So before we enter the van, I'm gonna point out a couple other things on the outside. So one of which is the propane refill area, and the other is the gray water hose holder. So just underneath and to the side of the side step, we have our propane refill area. So we send all of our vans out with at least 3/4 of a tank of propane. And again, this powers the built-in stove and the combination water heater and van heater. So for the most part, I tell people to completely ignore this propane refill station, especially if you're on a shorter trip, 5 days or under. But if you find that you're going through a lot of propane, either heating the van a lot, heating a lot of water, and you're seeing yourself working through a lot of propane, what I tell people is Google propane refill, show up, pull up to the propane refill spot, and I just tell people to point and grunt at that, and the propane guys will know what to do. The only other note of significance on this propane refill area is that we do have an on-off switch here. It's labeled the emergency shutoff switch. So if there is a propane leak or some sort of issue with the propane tank, you can go ahead and switch this to off. But for the most part, just leave it in the on position. If the propane's not running inside, either turning on the stove, this would be a good first place to check to make sure that switch is in the on position. So just gonna open the door, slide inside door. This will hold itself in place right there. So we just slid open the sliding side door. And one of the first things you're gonna see is we've got a bug net up here set up. Super handy in the summers and when it's buggy out. And all you really need to do to get this set up is undo 2 clips on the inside. And this will drop down. And then we've got 2 zippers, one on either side. One thing that's really slick about this bug net is you don't have to undo both of these zippers to get in and out every time you want to enter or exit the van. The side here closest to the front is also magnetic, so you can just push right in. Now I'm just going to show you how to tuck this away. Undo both of the zippers on either side. And I'm just gonna roll this up from the bottom, nice and snug and neat. A couple other things I'll point out just as you're getting into the van. Got a step mat right here. Feel free to get that dirty. We've got another shower port, so hot water knob, cold water knob, and then one of those quick releases for that shower hose. So that just snaps right in. And honestly, I'll just use this to maybe get my shoes cleaned off before we enter the van. And then to release this, same as in the back, I'm just going to push and release this.
Now all I'm gonna show you is inside the van.
Now I'm gonna show you right over here. We got a big fridge down below. I'll show you how that works. Got a main house battery on-off switch. So we put a little plastic cover up on this so people don't bump into it and accidentally turn it off, but it should be in the on position pretty much all the time. If you do happen to hit the off button, nothing bad happens. It just turns off power to the coach side of the van. Just to the right of the main on-off switch, we've got a 12-volt cigarette outlet. Then we've got 2 USB ports. These are gonna be on all the time as long as the coach battery is in the on position. And then we've got 2 other switches over here. The porch, which turns on a light just over the passenger side door. And then we've got a main light switch, which turns all of the lights on that aren't push activated. Underneath all of these switches, we've got a fridge, handle to pop it open, space for eggs, some storage on the doors, and then 3 different compartments plus a freezer. On the inside, all the way in the back, is an on-off knob, and you can also set the temperature as you like it, and the scale goes up to 7. Right next to the fridge door handle is a silver latch, and what that's gonna do is make sure that the fridge door doesn't pop open accidentally while you're driving. When I'm at camp, I turn that to the side, and you can open and close it to your heart's content. A couple things on the passenger side door. I'm gonna pop this open. Some stuff you'll find in all of our vans. Got a first aid kit right in the passenger door. We've got a grocery bag here. And then we'll also send you with a little general all-purpose cleaner, just in case you get a little dusty in the van and you wanna give it a little tidy up. A couple other things I'm gonna point out from the passenger side. We've got a fire extinguisher right here next to the seat, right by the door. So you can adjust the passenger seat. We've got a knob right here, which raises and lowers the seat back. Down below, you've got one of these standard up-down latches, which allows you to slide the seat forward and back. And then one thing that's really cool about these seats is they swivel all the way around so they can face the inside of the van. And that's done with a little yellow latch underneath the seat. So on the back of the passenger seat, there's a couple things I'll point out here. So for easy access, there's a little quick start guide, a little cheat sheet in case you forget any of the more complicated systems like toilet, water, propane, or any of the electrical stuff. We're gonna send you out with 2 headlamps, fully charged, good to go. Gonna send you out with a little roll of toilet paper just to get you started. Got a level so you can tell how flat the van is when you're parked in at camp, as well as a set of playing cards, a Leatherman multi-tool, a light string, and a Goal Zero portable battery charger. So you can charge your phone while you're out on a hike or some other outdoor activity. Got the chair swivel around here, and I'm gonna point out a couple other things that you can access from the cockpit. So up top, we've got a phone mount, so you can go hands-free while you're driving. We've got pens, stickers, chapstick, hand sanitizer, and some tissues, standard with every rental. And then we've got one of these universal phone cords, so you can charge any of your devices while you're driving or while you're at camp. Now I'm gonna show you how to pop up the top of the van, get a little more access to the second bed. So there's 2 latches on either side here, and I'm just gonna show you one side, way it's a little more simple for you. So there's a couple steps. First thing we're gonna do is undo this clip, pushing into that gray button, let that dangle down. Gonna pop out that wing, twist it lefty-loosey, and I fold that little wing down, and then that'll just magnet right up to the ceiling. Same on the other side, do it a little quicker. Undo the clip, pop out the wing, lefty-loosey, pop it down, magnet it up, and then from here, I'm just gonna send this straight up. So this pop top bed, also full size, comes with the same bedding as the ones down below. You've got a fitted sheet, a flat sheet, a waffle blanket, and a fleece blanket. And then because this is a pop top, we don't wanna stuff it too full with stuff. So we bring the pillows down and stuff them on the lower bed, but you're fine to leave any of the bedding up top. Additionally, we've got 3 windows up top, all of which you can zip closed. 2 of them have screens up top, and you can either have them completely blacked out or ventilated. So this window facing the front of the van, what I'm gonna do is unzip it to either side. I'll roll this screen inwards, and then you can expose either the screen here, or you can unzip it a little more completely with no screen at all. Another little creature comfort up top. We've got a light switch right here, which turns on the light just over here. And then 2 USB ports and a cigarette outlet so you can charge your phone or device at night while you're sleeping. So right above the cockpit, we've got a little bit of storage. And up here, we like to keep some of the window covers for the front windshield and the driver and passenger side doors, as well as 2 ladder components. So all I'm gonna do is pull these components out and show you how they help you access the pop top bed. So here's the upper ladder segment, and here is the lower ladder segment. So you can tell that the upper one has the hooks and the lower one has little pads for the floor. What I'm gonna do, put the lower one on the floor and connect the upper one to the lower one. So those will slide together, and then these little clips will lock that ladder together. Once those are together, the upper bit will hook right into those little helpers over there and just rest nicely against the floor. Now I'm gonna put the ladder away, and I'm also gonna close the pop top. I'll show you how I do that here. So I'm gonna unhook the ladder, unlatch the two segments from each other. And then I find that storing this in a particular way is the most helpful. If these ladder segments are together while you're driving, you'll just hear them clanking around a bit. So I like using these front window covers as a little cushion. So I'm gonna go front window cover, ladder segment, front window cover, ladder segment. And that's one less little annoyance for you on the road. Closing the pop top here, there's two straps hanging down. I'm just gonna grab my hands on them, pull them most of the way down. So once the pop top is most of the way closed, I'm gonna grab these red straps, pull them in, and that's gonna make sure any of this tent material isn't getting caught in the pop top shell. Once that's mostly down, I'm gonna let the weight of the tent do the rest of the work. So this looks a little disheveled right now. Make it a little neater, I'm just gonna grab this tent material, roll it up, tuck it out of the way as well as I can. And then to secure the pop top away, I'm gonna tuck the tent material behind the latches over here. And just in reverse order of how we set this up, I'm gonna put it away. So I'm gonna unmagnet that wing, pop it out, righty-tighty, kind of tuck it away, and secure that latch. And on the other side, tuck that tent material away, wing will come down, pop it out, righty-tighty, get it away, snap that right in place. If you're annoyed by these little dangly straps, you can just unclip them and get them out of the way. I don't really mind it. I'll keep them clipped and just tuck it. Sweet, just for a little continuity of the video, I'm gonna take off my sweatshirt here, put the microphone somewhere new. It's getting a little toasty in this van. So, like I mentioned before, this van seats 4 and sleeps 4. So you're gonna have someone in the driver's seat, someone in the passenger seat, and this is where your other 2 passengers would sit. They do have normal seat belts right in the middle of you 2. And it also has an armrest over here. So if you're just 2 people in this van, you can keep this table just as it is. You can swivel it out. This is a great place for dinner. This is a great place to play some cards on a rainy day. If you're traveling in a group of 4 and this table is a little bit in your way, you can disconnect it and stash it away kind of out of sight. I'll show you how to do that right now. So first step is to disconnect the tabletop from the pole. I'm just gonna shimmy it as I lift it up over the pole. And the second is to disconnect the pole from the ground. These 2 things stash away just behind the seat that I'm sitting in. I'll show you how to do that right now. So just behind the seat, you'll find these little clips where you can slot this pole into. Gonna rest it on top of the clips and just push it right down. And then this tabletop, we're gonna have it oriented so that the pole receiver is facing the front of the van. And I'm gonna slide it against the wall here. That'll rest nice and snug. A couple other things I'll point out just below where I'm sitting. Under my left foot, we've got this little compartment, general storage. Normally the user manual gets stashed away in there, or easy to access stuff while you're driving, a couple snacks. And then right in between my legs, we've got some more USB ports, place for you to charge while you're driving. Another one of these wall outlets, which again is only on when you're connected to shore power. And then here's one of our heater vents. So when you turn the heater on in the van, it'll be warming up from that little port. Cool. Right next to the seat again, we've got another window. So has the privacy screen as well. And you can also open this up while you're driving with the screened-in window. Another little feature is you can pull these nubs down, get the screen completely out of the way in case you have folks outside and you want to pass some food out. It's called food truck mode. And then lastly, we've got another one of these touch lights and another storage compartment, which again connects up to the ceiling with a magnet. Just above me, we've got another one of these main control panel areas. This is definitely where you can control most of the systems in the van, and it is a little more complicated, so we're gonna work from simple to complicated in just a minute after talking about the galley. Just for a little bit of reference, I'm 6'2", standing up completely tall here, 6'4" with the fro, but stand on your tippy toes, you can maybe hit the top here. If you're any taller than me, you're probably gonna wanna keep your standing up to this area where it's a little elevated. Cool, so I'm gonna point out a couple things over here. This is our stove. We've got a little cutting board down here. Up top, we've got some storage where you'll find a lot of pots and pans. Another storage compartment to the side. Got our main sink area with some more USB ports, wall outlets, and a couple of dish doing and garbage bag things. Got a hook over here. In this drawer, you'll find all of our utensils, forks, knives, spoons, can opener, wine opener, pot grips, serving utensils, salt and pepper, a chef's knife, some tongs, and a lighter. Up above the sink, we're gonna send you out with a pot set, Yeti mugs, one per person on the trip, a French press, a frying pan, plates, bowls, one for everybody on the trip, and a cutting board. If you're a group of 2, we'll probably try and send you out with a small pot set. If you're a group larger than 2, we'll send you out with a big pot set. And included, we've got a small frying pan, 2 pots, 2 lids, and then a bag to keep them stored in here. So if the van is not winterized, meaning you're traveling in late spring, summer, or early fall, you're gonna be able to use the sink that's built in over here. So it's got a hot, cold, and then to turn it on, you're gonna pull this out. In a winterized setup, you're gonna get something that looks like this. This is one of our electronic water pumps. You're gonna have a hose in the back, and then it'll come connected just like this. So if the van is not winterized, the water that you're using from the faucet is going to go down the drain and straight into our external gray water holding tank. And I'll show you how to empty that a little further on in the video. One other thing to note, standing next to the sink over here, is we do have a switch called water tank level. And what it does is it turns on a light in this bubble area. We have a piece of tape right here that marks when the freshwater reservoir is full. So the van is currently in a winterized state, but if it was not in a winterized state, you would see a water bubble pretty clearly in this hose indicating how full your water tank is. Just next to that switch, we have a normal preheat knob that I'm gonna go into detail on in just a second. All right, you've been very patient so far, so we're about to get into some more of the complicated details over here with this control panel. Sweet, so going back to the electrical system, as I mentioned earlier, we've got coach batteries that controls everything on this side, and we've got car batteries which control turning on and off the van and some other vehicle related stuff. Both of those batteries are going to charge while you're driving from the alternator, and they're also going to charge off the solar panels that are attached to the roof of the pop top. So one of the first things I'm going to point out just here in the middle is our solar meter. This is great because you don't actually have to do anything. So pretty much just ignore this and you'll be good to go. Just next to the solar meter, we've got this holding tank heater switch. So if you're camping and the van is not winterized, all of your gray water is going to be going to an external holding tank. And if the temperatures are dropping anywhere near freezing, what we're gonna ask you to do is turn the switch on while you're at camp or when you expect it to be below freezing. What that does is it makes sure that the pipes and the holding tank don't drop below freezing and kind of mitigates the risk of any of the plumbing rupturing because of the frozen water. So if the van is winterized or if the temperatures are hot, don't worry about this at all. You can keep that in the off position. So just to the right of the solar meter, we've got what we kind of refer to as our propane pilot light. But really all you need to do is whenever you're gonna use any of the propane, either for the stove or to heat water or to heat the van, you're gonna wanna make sure that this LP switch is in the on position. I'm gonna let propane work through the system now that I've turned the propane switch on, and in a minute I'll show you how to turn on the stove. But right now I'm gonna direct you to kind of one of these info centers, and right here we've got 3 buttons that correspond to different lights. Cool. So the first button over here is LPG, or liquid propane. So when I push that in, it's gonna give me a reading on how full the propane in the van is. So right now we're seeing that read as 2/3. The button just to the right of that is the battery button. So when I push that in, you'll see how full the coach batteries are, also reading at 2/3. And lastly, we've got a gray water button, which is currently reading empty, and that'll show you how full your gray water tank is. If that's getting to 2/3 or full, you're gonna wanna make sure you stop pretty soon and empty that gray water tank. Lastly, just below, we've got this water pump switch. It is also corresponding to the same pump that was on the water control panel in the rear of the vehicle, but up or down doesn't necessarily mean that the pump is on. When the light up here for pump on is illuminated, that's how you know the pump is on. So you're gonna want this pump off when you're driving or when you're not using any of the water fixtures. But if you're at camp and you're gonna, use the sink, flush the toilet, run a shower, you're gonna wanna make sure that pump is in the on position. So next to this little info area, we have our Truma control panel. And what this does is this allows you to heat water in the van or heat the van itself while the van's engine is off. So we've got 3 ways you can control this. We've got a little back button. I'll turn the light on, bring you to the home screen. We've got this twisty knob, and then this twisty knob also pushes in. So the 2 things that you're really gonna be controlling over here are this van symbol and this squiggly water symbol. So if I want to heat the van, I'm gonna wanna make sure the van is blinking. And if I wanna heat water in the van, I'm gonna make sure that that water symbol is blinking. And once again, you're gonna need to make sure that the propane is on for this. So propane is in the on position. So first I'm gonna show you how to heat the van. I'm gonna click while the van is blinking. It's currently reading off. I'm gonna set this to our desired temperature. And then to set that temperature, I'm gonna click it in. And if we have this flame up here, that means the van is currently heating up, and that's gonna be reading the temperature from this little temperature gauge down below. Sweet. So the van flame is on, the van is heating up. Sometimes people will forget to turn the propane on and it'll flash an error message if that's the case, but we turned the propane on, so we should be good to go. Next, I wanna heat up some water. So again, the van is winterized, but I'm gonna still show you how to turn on the water heater in the van. So we've got our water symbol blinking. I'm gonna click that on, and then we're gonna be able to go between 4 different settings. So setting 1 is off, setting 2 is eco, that's gonna heat up water slowly. Hot setting is gonna heat up water a little more quickly. And then boost is going to be the fastest way we can heat up water, but it's not gonna let us heat up the van at the same time. So just because we wanna heat up the van and we wanna heat up water at the same time, what I'm gonna do is set it to hot. So now we've got the symbol up top saying we're heating water to hot, and we've got the flame blinking, meaning the van is heating up, both at the same time. All right, so we're heating up water. I'll just give you a scenario where it's a little brisk at camp. I'm heating up water, we're at camp, heating up water, heating up the van, and I'm going to want to do some dishes. So I'm going to direct us over to the sink. And here at home, you have a lot of water and you're not limited to 20 gallons of water. And we want to be a little more conservative with our water use in these vans. So I don't want to run the cold water out of the fixtures. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to preheat the water. So turn any of the water that's currently in any of our fixtures. I want to preheat it and run it through our heating unit. So down below the sink, we've got this normal and preheat setting. And I'm just going to turn this knob to the preheat setting, which allows all of the water in our fixtures to circulate through the heat pump. That way you can not waste some of the water that's cold and in the fixtures. Cool, so we're done heating up water, we're done heating up the van. Just imagine we're leaving camp for the day. I'm gonna turn both of the heater and the water heater off. So van is blinking, I'm gonna click on that. I'm gonna turn this to the left until it says off. I'm gonna click that to lock it in. Flame went away, van is no longer heating up. Now I'm gonna go to the water symbol, click that off. I'm gonna turn this to the off position, click it in. No more water heater symbol on. So I'm gonna we just turned off the water. Cool. We still have the propane on, and I'm gonna show you how we can work the stove. So the propane is still on, and I'm gonna open the lid to the stove here. And these two knobs, just like a stove at home, you've got two knobs that control the flame on either of these burners, and we've also got an igniter. Cool. So you can turn these to high settings or low simmer settings, or you can turn them off. I'm done cooking, I'm done heating up water, I'm done heating up the van. I'm just gonna go switch the propane to the off position. All right, now I'm gonna show you what's up with the bathroom. Sweet, so if you're any taller than 5'7", you probably either gonna wanna shower sitting down or shower in either one of the two outside showers. So a little bit about what's going on in here. We've got our shower nozzle with kind of on and off positions. We've got cold water and hot water, a little holder for the shower head. To my side here, I've got a shower curtain. This will clip up above the door. We've got a light just above the entrance to the door, which is controlled with a switch just on the outside. Got a little compartment over here in case you want to keep any of your shower toiletries or stuff like that in here. We also have a little garbage can with a garbage bag and some spares over above the sink. We have a vent where some hot air will come out of if you have the heater turned on. Just to the side, we've got our shower drain. And then obviously sitting on top of the toilet right here, which I'll show you how to use. Not like that though. Okay, here's everything that's going on with the toilet in here. So first things first, the toilet does swivel, so you can position yourself however you'd like. Right here's the flush button. So if you want to flush the toilet, the pump does need to be on. The water pump needs to be on, which is just above the seats on the outside. And then right here, we've got an open and closed valve. So what that's opening is the valve in between the toilet top and the cassette on the bottom. So before I ever open this lid, I'm gonna open this valve. Then I'm gonna open the lid. Do your business. Close the lid, flush it, close the valve. So if you're looking over the toilet, you can see this flush button, and then just below where I'm pointing right here, there's a little bubble indicator. It goes from green to red, depending on how full the toilet receptacle is. We call it a cassette. So if you end up using this toilet on your trip, what we ask is that you return it in an empty state. So What an empty state looks like is, I'm gonna show you how to empty the cassette. Once you put the emptied cassette back where it lives, we've got this bag right here. And inside we've got 3 toilet tabs and a pair of nitrile gloves. And what we ask you to do, empty the cassette in an appropriate place. Could be an RV Blackwater dump site. Put the cassette back where it lives, open the toilet, open the valve, and then drop one of these toilet tabs in there. Flush a couple times so you cover the tabs on the inside of the cassette. And then your toilet and cassette are reset. So we're back outside the van. I'm gonna show you how to empty the gray water and how to empty the cassette from the toilet. So just down here, we've got the gray water hose holder. We have a few of these Glamper vans, and this gray water hose holder is in some different places on each of the vans, but the principle is the same on all of them. So I'm just gonna open this container here, and then inside the hose holder is the hose itself. So I'm gonna pull this out, and I'm gonna show you where this hooks up. We're gonna walk around to the other side of the van. So you'll see on this, we've got one end that has some claws on it, and the other end which will go to the receptacle, the gray water receptacle. So now we're on the driver's side of the van, and we've got our gray water hookup. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open this lid by twisting to the left. I'm gonna get it out of the way. Hooking up the hose, it's the same as hooking up that lid. I'm gonna put it right on the top there and twist it into place. There you go. So we're locked in. I'm gonna park pretty close to our gray water receptacle, extend this hose to it, and then when I'm ready to dump, I'm gonna pull this T-handle out, and all of our gray water will drain from the holding tank into the off the van gray water receptacle. When I'm done with this, I'm just gonna I'm gonna push the T-handle back in. I'm gonna unscrew this hose, and I'm gonna put the lid back on. Now I'm gonna put the gray water hose back where it lives. So we're on the driver's side. I'm gonna point out a couple things. Over by the driver door, we've got our gas tank. So open up this lid, open up the cap. This takes regular gasoline, unleaded. Close that up. Right here, this is the exhaust from the Propane. So this is the Truma unit exhaust. So if you're heating up water, heating up the van, this is where the exhaust comes out. This is the compartment for the cassette. This is where your toilet waste lives. And I'll show you how to use that in a second. And then this is your shore power hookup. So for the most part, shore power is just where you would hook up the van to an electrical source. You could run it with a standard extension cord and the adapter we have inside. Or if you're planning a trip and you're new to RVing, you're new to camper stuff, and you're trying to book campgrounds, you'll see campgrounds that have either hookups or no hookups, and there's typically a price difference between that. Could be a water hookup, could be an electrical hookup. This van does not need to be plugged into shore power unless you want to use those wall outlets, but this is where you would hook up your shore power. Everybody's favorite part, the cassette toilet and how to empty it. So in this compartment, we've got 2 buttons, one down low, one up high. I like saying it's kind of like the nuclear codes. 2-factor authentication. You need to plug both fingers in at the same time and pull that door right open. There is a lock right here. I don't think anyone's gonna wanna steal your cassette toilet, so you can leave that unlocked all the time. And then here's the actual cassette itself. There's a blue little latch down low. I'm going to pull that up and slide this out and then bring this down to the ground. So winterized or dewinterized, you can use the toilet year round. And in this case, we've pulled the cassette out, it's empty. One thing we do have in here is one of those toilet tabs, and then we also have a couple of flushes of water, just enough to cover that toilet tab to help break things down. So if I want to empty this, what I'm going to do is swing this out to the outside, completely remove this blue cap, and then I'm going to bring this to a black water dump station or a spot where you're allowed to dump a cassette toilet. And then this blue button back here allows you to vent as you pour it out. So we're all done dumping it out. I'm gonna put this blue lid back on, twist it on, nice and snug. Close it to the side, slide it right back in. And then once you've done that, go back inside, dump one of those toilet tabs right through the toilet, flush a couple times, and you are done with a cassette toilet. I doubt anybody has made it this far, but if you have, thank you for watching this little orientation on our Glamper vans. There's, without a doubt, a ton of information to digest, so feel free to ask us questions, feel free to reference this video. Again, sleeps for, seats for, is front wheel drive. It's great for any season you want to take a trip on, and we can't wait to see you at our Titus Ventures shop. Thanks for watching.